I assume most of our audience has heard by now that there has been another shooting at Fort Hood. Of course, Fort Hood was the location of a 2009 shooting where 13 individuals were killed. This latest shooting at Fort Hood left 4 people dead, including the shooter, multiple injuries. We are producing today's program a little earlier than normal. So if some of the information that has now been confirmed is only speculation at this point, it may be missing from our report. Initially, Lieutenant General Mark Milley didn't say at the press conference that was held the day of the shooting who the shooter was, although he did say it was a soldier treated for depression, anxiety, and a variety of other psychological and psychiatric issues, who had served 4 months in Iraq in 2011. Since that initial press conference, we learned much more, including from Republican Congressman Michael McCall, who said that the suspected shooter is Ivan Lopez and that Lopez was wearing an Army uniform during the incident. We also learned that although on the one hand, there seems to have been treatment or at least an indication that Lopez should be treated for PTSD, it also was revealed, at least at this time, that he never actually saw combat in Iraq, which raised some questions in general about the alleged shooter. He was using a .45 caliber handgun, allegedly entered a building on the base and opened fire, according to Milley. Left, got into a vehicle, opened fire again, and then entered a second building where he unleashed another burst of gunfire. There was no indication that this was any kind of a terroristic type incident. And it's interesting when you hear that because, of course, this caused terror. So to say it wasn't an indication of terrorism, what it usually means is it wasn't some broader plot involving others. It was the, as we often hear, the lone gunman type of scenario, although nothing was initially ruled out by the military. Some say that we have a problem in this country of too many guns. And the gun advocates who say that we actually need more guns to be safer responded to this incident by saying, well, you actually need to have more people with guns. The reason this even got as far as it did is because in Fort Hood, unless you're under specific orders where you are armed, you are not carrying a weapon, and that if everybody had guns, it would have been way safer for everyone. What is true about that? We can't deny that if everybody had guns, initially, right when this guy starts firing, somebody nearby can fire right back. The problem is that these shootouts, these crossfires, I don't know how they are kind of idealized by the pro-gun crowd, but it's not that it's abundantly clear that everybody who has a gun, imagine everybody's armed, sees what's going on and say, oh, that's the guy. I take my gun out, I shoot him once, and that's it. Multiple people may start shooting. At that point, it's not clear who the shooter is. You might shoot someone who was just trying to take down the shooter. The idea that these things just go really well is silly. And I think one of the best examples is the Batman movie theater shooting, where some said, well, if everybody in the theater had been armed, or if at least a few people had, it would have been great. Well, I don't know about that. If all of a sudden people start firing in a dark theater towards who they believe to be the shooter, that's a recipe for a huge disaster.